Hello and welcome to the NGO Whisperer Show. My name is Dr. Carolyne Opinde. I'm the founder and the CEO of the NGO Whisperer Center for Social Impact based in Manchester, United Kingdom. In season 6 and 7 of the NGO Whisperer Show and podcast, we feature the NGO Whisperer Global Fellows Class of 2022. Joining us today from Johannesburg, South Africa, is Brittney Myburgh. She works at Tears Foundation. Brittney will share with us her efforts in contributing to gender-based violence prevention in South Africa and her experiences as one of our global fellows. Brittney, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Dr. Carolyne. It's so wonderful to be here with you today.
Brittney, you have been with us over the last 6 months from July to December 2022 as one of our global fellows and also working at Tears Foundation, a leading gender-based violence prevention organization in South Africa. Brittney, what inspired you to step into the nonprofit sector?
If I have to narrow it down to one thing, I think it's just the core idea of assisting and helping people. That's always been a very important value for me. And to be able to make a difference and be able to work, it really is a great balance for my fulfillment and my personal beliefs. So I'm really honored to be able to work for an organization like Tears Foundation and see the progress that they've made while I've been with them.
What is the focus of your work at Tears Foundation? Who do you serve and what is the impact that you have had so far?
Basically, I'm in strategic alignment and making sure that our processes and procedures and our donors and our projects are implemented successfully. In my time that I've been with them, we have launched our amazing, innovative project called Speak Up, which is aimed at the youth and to educate them on gender-based violence. But I think a highlight for me for 2022 was that we officially superseded the 600,000 mark. So we have assisted 600,000 victims and survivors with support. Last year alone, we did 113,000. And although we shouldn't be bragging about how many people we assist, it is important to acknowledge that we are reaching those kinds of numbers. And we are such a small organization. We are pre-teens. We're only 10 years old compared to other leading organizations. And I think that is a big, beautiful green flag for me and the role I play to make sure that we're assisting the correct people.
That is wonderful. Could you share with us, now that you have completed the NGO Whisperer Global Fellowship Program, what inspired you to apply to be one of our global fellows in 2022?
Initially, when I joined the nonprofit sector, I think a lot of people have little to no knowledge to what actually happens. And I was granted the opportunity through Mara, who you've been working with for a few years, the founder of Tears Foundation, to say, reach out to Carolyne. And when I read up about your fellowship program and the amount of knowledge I would be able to gain in those 6 months, it was a no-brainer. I had to apply and hopefully get in, which I did. And during those 6 months, core takeaways were how passionate all the people that applied for the program were. I mean, I've done courses before where you just go and you do the fellowship or you do the program and it's just a tick box exercise where every week when we were meeting and doing our homework or discussing topics, it really was adding value to all these nonprofit sectors as well as our own. A lot of the stuff I've done, I've come back and implemented or shared with the team or worked with more senior management to see how we can relook at it and better apply the strategic knowledge we gained. So it was a highlight for me, and anybody else that needs or wants information should really apply for it if you work in the nonprofit sector.
What are the top 3 areas of learning that impacted you most?
So I think the first one that really stood out to me was making sure that you have your strategic alignment documentation in place. It really makes it more accessible for when I'm working with fundraisers or potential donors that I already have the documentation on hand. I think a lot of the time and we're bad for it, our organization too. We create the documents on the go, but making sure that we actually work the process, have the implementations per project, streamlines that for when we need fundraising from international and local donors. And then the second one I would say is absorbing knowledge in general. So taking in what we're learning and actually implementing it within the organization. A lot of the time you also write documentation and then it just sits in a file where you actually practically made us implement it and use it with one of our biggest launches, which was Speak Up. So using the templates that we gained and the knowledge that we gained to actually implement and launch Speak Up with some of that documentation has helped our new fundraisers even gain funding. So that's been beneficial. And then I think the third area that I walked away with was reflection and acknowledgement of where we started before the program to where we are now. So I choose the word reflection as just, I think oftentimes we forget where we started before we even joined the fellowship program, and the documentation that we didn't have, and the strategic alignment, even SWOT analyses and pastel analysis, all of those things that we didn't do before. And now it's on a checklist. We're doing it. We're making sure that we're improving our processes going forward.
Of all the modules, which one would you say we should continue with at the fellowship program?
I wouldn't take any of them away. And I know that sounds cliche, but I think because we start from a place of nowhere and we go all the way through to the ending. So I personally wouldn't take any away or say not to continue with any, where we were looking at like our emotional wellness and financial wellness and seeing how we sit in those spaces. That was an interesting module. I didn't think we were going to do something like that in the fellowship program because we were so strategically aligned for our organization. So I'd say that one was interesting because it was introspective instead of holistically looking at only the nonprofit sector that we worked in. So I think that was a good module, but I wouldn't take any away. I'd continue.
Thank you so much for highlighting the fact that we also focused on you as an individual, you as a person, and also focused on your financial wellness. And this is not the wellness of the organization, but your personal financial wellness and health and wellness also of the individual body, mind, and soul. How has your organization changed as a result of you applying what you have learned at the fellowship program?
So the first part is we had new people join our organization while I was busy in the fellowship, and they actually onboarded with less knowledge than I did when I joined the industry. So what I had started to do was come back into the office after I'd been at a fellowship session or read my emails or gone through some of the homework that we needed to do and shared that with the team. And I was like, this is what we're currently doing. Do you guys have questions? Do you need any information? So that was the first one, knowledge sharing. I also think we had an assignment where we had to write weekly emails to our team and update them with what's happening in our sections, because oftentimes nonprofits work in silos as people because we have so many different projects aligned to one person or portfolio pieces. And that really opened conversation within the workspace and within the section where people were like, oh, well, this is my passion. Can I get involved? Or can I help? Or this is how I know somebody in this section, or let's try funding this way. So the knowledge sharing has really assisted us, as well as making sure that all our alignment for each project, not just focusing on your main organization, but each project should actually be developed the same way as your main organization project. So all new people have to go through the onboarding of making sure they share knowledge, follow the process, and build the documentation, which wasn't there before.
It is really exciting to see that you shared knowledge with your team, and I work with your team as well. TS Foundation is one of our VIP clients, and I see the difference that you are making by sharing knowledge and also hearing from some of your colleagues. What plans do you have for the future of you as an individual in your career, but also for the work that you do at TS Foundation?
I am taking a little bit of time off. I'm growing our fellowship group. So this year will be a little bit slower for me as an individual just because I'm expanding my family. But it doesn't stop the goals. It doesn't stop the work. Nonprofit sectors don't close. So I personally will be developing my role within the organization and expanding our team. We're actually looking at doubling and tripling it year on year. So we will be moving, hopefully, or getting additional space to be able to house everybody. And that's already in the process for this year. So I'm very proud of my team. And then Tears Foundation is going to new heights. We are actually registering as a CETA organization, so we'll be able to give official training. We are launching a program with the FCS units in South Africa. So if you know the police stations, they've got a special unit that deals with gender-based violence and child abuse. And we'll be implementing our strategy for Tears within police stations to see how best we can help improve the system. As you guys are aware, South Africa has its challenges, but that is Tears' goal, to change the life cycle. So from starting from infancy to death, that you have a safe environment or have somewhere to go where people care, and we'll bring the hope and healing to that. I know one of our goals is to reach more people this year. My personal goal is to just keep increasing it every year to make sure that people get the assistance they need. There will never be a time that there isn't, but if we can reduce it and get the access to those individuals, that's the goal. And then obviously the successes of Speak Up. Watch this space. It's officially launched. We are adding more and more videos. We're expanding them into additional languages, and that will all be happening this year. So nothing is stopping for Tears Foundation, and yeah, we're on a roll.
Congratulations on your bundle of joy that is on the way. And we look forward to walking the journey with you when you come back from your leave. Secondly, congratulations also on the amazing work that you have all done with Speak Up. Please explain to people, what is Speak Up? Because you've mentioned it previously and people may wonder.
So Speak Up is a youth-based educational platform that is animated and is interactive, that will be free to use on any phone. So you'll be able to get a free website link that you can watch this video, read it, interact with it, and share it across board. And it is to educate people about different topics within the gender-based violence space. So consent, sexual abuse, rape, pregnancy, HIV and AIDS, STDs. And this information is so that the youth have access, and that will help us reduce teen pregnancy within South Africa, as well as giving them the options and the knowledge to make correct decisions. South Africa has a shortage in both contraceptive as well as medical assistance. And if we can just get the knowledge out there so that they can make the right choices, then we're making an impact. And unfortunately, we have one of the highest live birth rates in the world. And our goal is to make sure that these are decisions that are made and not rapes that are happening due to family circumstances. So our goal is to educate the nation. It is available already. So if you guys wanted to try it, you can try it on our *134*7355 hash number in South Africa. And it's option 3. So please try it and let us know if you have any feedback. Our goal is to have 14 of those videos up by the end of June, and then expand it to 28 and keep going. So it will never stop. It's an educational free platform for anybody within South African borders.
Thank you so much. Another thing that you mentioned was CETA. Could you explain to people so they can understand how important it is for organizations to be registered with Sector Education Training Authority, CETA, in South Africa?
So for us to be able to be an accredited training institution, you have to apply, as well as you can apply for funding for specific initiatives as a nonprofit organization. So it is a little bit of a long, lengthy process. There's lots of white paper that we have to fill out, but being accredited sets you apart from other organizations and assists you with being able to offer additional points on your BE scorecard under skills development, under training and development, as well as being able to register programs that you're already running within your nonprofit organization. So that's the first part. And then the second part is the funding that I mentioned. So if you are accredited and you have been through the process with CETA, they release funding so that you're able to employ undergrads or graduates or interns, and they actually fund that process. And that's our goal, so that we can change the employment gap within our country, because employment leads directly to gender-based violence and violence in general because of poverty. So changing the gap, it's not just one little puzzle piece, it's all of the puzzle pieces that you have to consider. And Tears Foundation as well, Caroline, I don't even think you know this yet, but we are in the process of becoming one of the first ISO-rated nonprofit organizations in South Africa. So we are in that process as well. And why that's important and sets us apart is international companies will look at us and know that we are following the standards that are required internationally to be able to be funded and continue with our programs. Yeah.
That is exciting with the CETA registrations, the ISO registration, which is a global standard, and you'll be able to work not just in South Africa. Once you have that, there is a possibility of expansion. What message do you have for governments, for the civil society, or the communities in general on gender-based violence prevention?
My biggest message would be, it's not just happening during 16 days. This is something we are battling every single day, 365 days a year. We require the support and the assistance. So if your organization needs support and assistance, collaborate, help, share knowledge if you can. And then for government to recognize that we are the people on the ground doing the work, and making sure that they are actually making the difference with small organizations like ours, instead of doing big new organizations all the time. Our numbers speak for ourselves, our communities speak for ourselves, the people we help speak. So don't just look at it as another 16 days of activism. It's not a once a year thing. It's not a Women's Day thing. It's an all year thing, all year round. And it doesn't stop just because the media stops talking about it.
Thank you so much for the amazing work that you do. As we come to the end of this episode, share with us, how can people find you?
You can find Tears Foundation at www.tears.co.za. You can link with me on LinkedIn. My name is Brittney Myburgh, and you'll see some of the stuff we're doing there. All of Tears' social media is online, and follow us on our social media platforms. We are taking a new turn to it this year, so watch our space. There'll be a lot more information shared about all our different projects on those platforms.
Thank you so much, Brittney, for joining us today. We applaud you for the amazing work that you do in ending gender-based violence in South Africa. As we all know, South Africa is one of the top 5 countries with the highest rate of gender-based violence. And so thank you so much, as you make a difference and make a social impact in this world. Thank you, Brittney.
Thank you, Dr. Caroline, and thank you for everything your organization does for us and the support that you guys provide us. Without individuals like you, who knows how far we would be. So we really appreciate the time and effort that your organization works with ours.
We are honored and humbled to work with great organizations as you. Ladies and gentlemen, we invite you to go to our website, ngowhisperer.com/masterclass, to join us there and build the capacity of your team so that you can be effective in impacting lives. As we come to the end of this show, we want to thank you, and we look forward to having you next week. As we always say, it's all about connecting people, raising funds, and impacting lives globally.